Hello everyone, my name is Sergey and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about the personal projects for your portfolio. We will answer a few main questions. Why is it so hard to find the idea for your project, and is it? Where to get the inspiration for your projects, how to improve your projects, and the most important, how to make your project stand out. No time to waste, let's start. First of all, why do you even need your projects to stand out? This is a silly question you may think, but some people are actually asking them. So first of all, our main point, or at least I think our main point, is to get the first job. And to get that, you need to impress the employers with your projects. On the other hand, some advice that I will give you today will help you to improve your coding abilities in general and also learn new things. I think this is great. So why is it hard to find a project idea, and is it hard? Actually, it's not. Yeah, literally by just typing it in a Google search bar, JavaScript projects idea, and you will get tons of results. But to find the project that you will really like yourself and you will be interested in doing that, it's a way different story. I must admit, I myself haven't built that many of personal projects, mostly because I was more interested in something more complicated rather than the number of projects in general. But during my job, I have learned few things, and I have spoke with many people who are actually working as and they are hiring in other people, and I have few insights what will help you to make your projects way better and ahead of your competitors. So first and foremost, the important part is to actually build something that you are interested in. And for now, you need to only keep yourself in mind and not the end user, which will change later on. But we'll talk about that. As an example, I had one of my projects built with React and Redux for a code snippets. You must probably have seen a lot of those pictures on social medias, picture of code snippets in a nice, beautiful formatting, nice colors with some background image or colors, and they look pretty awesome. So I wanted to build something similar, but I have realized that I need more customization rather than just predefined themes that those applications had. So I took their idea and I have built on top of that and extended with more features to my own liking. And of course, later on it was abandoned as the most pet projects do, so minute of silence for the passed away pet projects. But this brings us to another question. Where to get the inspiration for the projects? And the answer is literally everywhere. We are all using some web applications, some complex one or a simple ones almost on a day-to-day basis. You basically steal them. By stealing, I don't mean steal commercially, I'm just saying you copy that project. So what you do is you basically find the project that you like and recreate it. You are not going to build a commercial product based on that, so you can simply copy it, and it's completely okay and even encouraged by some. So your main point is to build something not complicated, like for example as YouTube, and you can think of like Apple Music, which is not that complicated if you think about that, if we don't go underneath, of course, under the hood. But something like browse feature, maybe playlist feature, and the music player itself is quite simple to recreate it. But that will give you an enormous room for experiments. You will learn something like state management, caching, images. You will learn about responsive UI and animations. You will learn how to use the browser audio web API and so much stuff more, like local storage and so on. And if you want to even do a step further, you can use one of the free popular storage spaces, which will allow you to store that royalty-free music that you will be streaming on your platform and store it there, fetch them on request, and provide to the user. And this is a great example of the application that you can make a pet project of. And it is incredibly hard to come up with the idea yourself. And besides that, you have to design it from scratch, you have to program it, and you have to deploy it. Which, if you think by copying other real-life projects, you at least cut your own job in half. and because you already have a design which you just need to copy. And please don't think that the projects you are doing during the course you took is enough for your portfolio. Even if the project states build 2 projects for your portfolio and so on, this is not going to work. Because simply think of that. If there are 1,000 or 2,000 people have taken the same course, they will have identically same courses in their portfolio. And this will not make you stand out at all. But the point of our video is make you be above your competitors. So what if you really like the project in the course, but you also want to keep it in your portfolio? The answer is you need to improve it. And this is exactly what we will discuss in the current chapter. We improving our projects. So the default course project on the resume looks bad. We got it. So what should we do? How we can change that if we really want to stick with that project? Example, during the course of studies, I have gone through one of the course provided by Helsinki University. It is free full stack course. I provide the link down in the description. Check it out, it's really great. And during the curriculum, they had one project which you are building a simple library where the user can add the book to the library, change its name, and change the state if it is being read or is it reading right now or want to read. But I didn't really like the project itself because you have to add the book name every time. You have to add the book information every time, like how many pages and so on. And this was really not for me. But I like the idea. So what I thought, like, let's make that project complicated so I can use it as part of my resume. So how did I extend it? First of all, it was really stupid that you had to enter the name of the book and all the information yourself. So I found Google Books API, which provides you all the information about the requested book. So what I did, I have created a search bar where you can enter the book's name and then you can select it and get all the information from the Google Books API. And even one small change like that brings way different level of complexity to the application. And you will learn so much more. You will learn how to handle the API requests. You will learn how to improve the performance by debouncing user input into the search bar, and also how to represent the response data from the API in the UI. Once I've done that, I was thinking that, well, it's weird that users can see each other books on the same board. So the next logical step for me, it should have been first, honestly. But for me, since I already had what I had, I thought of, okay, we should create a user management. So I have added the authentication and authorization to my app. So then each user will have their own library board. This itself, while it's a huge change, but it adds another level of complexity, even harder than the previous one. You will learn a lot of stuff. You will learn how to set up your authorization provider. You will learn how to keep your users in the database, how to store their passwords and hash them, and you will learn so much more. Look, only these 2 small changes have put our projects above all other people who are taking the same course and doing the same exact project. When you add more features, you will need to add more UI, you will need to add more user interaction, and it will create completely different project, which will definitely stand out from the rest of them. And you can continue like this, building up to the infinity, but that's not our point, right? I have been mentioning that in my previous video. You can check it out in the right top corner. I have been talking about that in that video. Check it out. The last point is we need to make our projects stand out. Yes, we have done them differently from the others, but this is still not enough. So what makes our project stand out? I would say there are multiple points to do that, and let's list them all. First of all, your project is solving real-life problem. Second, your project is nice looking and is easy to use it. Third one, your project should be documented. And fourth, your project should be polished and tested. And now let's break each of these points and talk about it. You may think that the first point doesn't really make sense since I said that you copy someone else's project, but let's be realistic. If there is a project online and with users, it means it is solving some real life problem, right? But if you have still decided to copy the project and extend it with more features, it means that there were some real life problems in that particular project that you were not happy about it and you wanted to edit. So it means there was a real life problem. Remember, I mentioned my code snippet project. It was an app that I have copied from somebody else, but I was frustrated with not enough customization, so that was a real life problem for me, which I have solved with my pet project. Also, in this video I've said that first of all you're building the project for yourself, which is correct. But when you are thinking of presenting that project and highlighting it in your resume, you need to make sure that the project will be nice to use by the end user. Because when the recruiter or interviewer or somebody else will check your project, this will be the first impression that they are getting that. It can be something super cool, but if it feels bad and it is so hard to understand and use, there is basically no point in your project. So at least it should have some nice UI and UX if we are talking about front-end project. I'm a terrible designer myself, but all of us, we are also the users of another applications, though we are developers. Which means that you have some particular things that you are not happy about in some particular apps. Like for example, some loading spinners or form validation is stupid or anything else. So this essentially is UX. The UX is a whole science. It is a very, very broad topic, but you need to implement at least the best practices and the most important things of it. If you ask me, if I'm reviewing a project, for me, the UX is way more important than the UI. If I see that project does not look good, but it feels good and I understand what I have to do and I don't have any blockers, I don't have any issues, this is way more important for me. Nowadays, you don't really need to think of UI that much. So much UI is provided by third-party libraries like Chakra, MUI, or Bootstrap, and you can even get the templates, free templates online. But UX is different. You cannot just import UX from the third-party library and use it in your project. So take a look at your pet project and think of some small UI and UX changes that you can make. Try out different things. Research what are the best practices. Even something minor like form validation can be very, very frustrating for the end user. Another thing is documenting your project. This is very important, and especially if you put your project into your resume, because your project will be checked by the technical person. Make a summary saying what is this project for and what problem it solves. List what technologies you have been using. Also, personally, I would advise you to list some of the things that you have stumbled upon while building the project, some issues that you have may faced and how did you solve them. Write about this a bit. You can add it in the end, but it is a nice thing to have. Also make sure that you have documented how to copy and how to run your project locally. Because as a reviewer, I don't have that much time and you are not the only person I have on the list I have to check. So when you are giving me clear instructions, how can I copy the project locally, what should I install and how can I run it, that helps me to run your project, understand it, check it locally, go through the code, and also I won't be breaking my head thinking of why this project is not being run locally. Also, if you can, and if it is technically possible, please deploy your projects to live. There are multiple services that provide this completely free. You can use them like Netlify, Vercel, AWS, and so much more that you can do completely for free. Because the idea is the technical person will be running your project locally, most probably because they would like to take a look at your code too. But initially, to get to the technical person review, you have to pass in most cases, you will have to pass non-technical person first, like an HR or a recruiter. And they won't be looking at your project, downloading them locally and running it, right? They want to see something online that they can click and go through and understand if you suit them well. So if this is technically possible, please deploy your project. Also, if one of the projects that you are currently working in, but it is still highlighted in your resume, make sure that you mention on top of your documentation that work is in progress. But if it is completed, then please make sure that you polish your project. What I mean by that, you need to remove all unused variables. Make sure that all your debuggers and console log statements are removed from the code. Also make sure that while running your project you don't have any errors in console, or if you do have some of them, you are handling them in the UI. One another very extremely important thing, I would not say that this is the requirement, but if I could give you one advice, but please write the tests for your application. It is commonly overlooked by the beginners, but tests show the potential employer that you are proficient, you understand the importance of tests, and or at least it has the impression like that, which may not be actually true. You don't need to aim for 100% coverage. That is not really required and practically not possible even in the real life applications. But even some small test coverage of the UI components or some critical services will put you 100 steps ahead of your competitors. Because the moment you see the tests in the beginner's project, you understand that the person have tried to create the project as much to real life projects as it is possible, and also they understand the importance of tests. Or maybe they have been applying the test-driven development technique. Another great point about polishing your project is go and scan through your code and make sure that it is following the industry best practices. Check that your variable names are clean, clear, and understandable. Check that you are following the dry technique, which means don't repeat yourself. Check that your code does not repeat it and you have minimum to none code repetition, and if there is some, try and refactor it to have some repeatable functions or whatever. All these best practices are not so hard to Google it. You can find them almost anywhere. They are covered very, very deeply. You need to implement them in your project if you want to impress their future employer. Personally, I would like you to have a linter, which again shows that you are ready to work in kind of a team environment, that you have some standard linting for code formatting rules that you are following. If you want, you can add comments to your code. This is though not really necessary. There are different opinions about that. If you are following that the code should be self-explanatory, don't do that. But if you're not sure about that, make sure that you check the best practices for commenting and comment some of your code. Well, and bam, you have a perfect pet project for your portfolio. Congratulations. So it is working, it is pleasing to use it and to look at it. It is a complex project to a certain degree, it is well documented, also it is covered with some tests and you have some best practices in place. Additionally, you have a linting rules that in case if somebody would like to contribute to your project or work together with you, you will be on the same side. It is deployed, so non-technical person can actually go and try it out, and also you have a documentation how to run it locally and test it. While you are building projects, you can create those cards in Trello and follow agile methodology while you're building your own project, which will again show your competence and that you are ready to work in the team and actual project environment. Personally, if I would see a beginner developer who is applying for a role with a project like that, I would be 100% sure that I want to talk with this person at the technical interview. Your project will be way ahead of the most beginners projects that are applying to the same company. And maybe there are some more things you can add, but honestly, I think this is more than enough to impress most of the employers. This kind of a project is a project with a star. It is a project with the A+. This project will look greatly on your resume and it will highly increase your chances of getting hired. And I hope that this advice will help you get your first job and it will improve your chances. If you want me to cover more topics like that, please leave a comment down below this video and I would happily do that. And as usual, follow me on my social medias. The links are down in the description. I would be happy to hear from you, and if these advices were helpful, please leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching this video. I wish you good luck with your projects and I see you soon.